The movie starts with Misha, a princess returning home to the palace after many years. She is picked up by the family driver, Padam. In the car ride, she looks at the letters her father had sent her, calling her home. Her father's new wife, the new queen, Rukmani, welcomes her. Rukmani shows Misha around. Misha wants to know where her father, Ratan, is. Rukmani explains that Ratan had to leave immediately, because the workers at their salt farm went on strike. He wanted to be there when Misha arrived. Rukmani takes Misha to her room, which has been kept the same since she was a young girl. At dinner, Rukmani confesses that she looked Misha up online, but she couldn't find anything, which is strange. Misha explains that she had nothing to share after her mother's death and the accident that left her in a wheelchair. She had a lot of hate towards Rukmani. Rukmani feels sorry, as she didn't intend to split up the family. That night, Misha tries to call her father, but it goes to voicemail. She hears a knock at her door, but no one's there. Again, there's a knock and she exits the room to see an unknown man. She follows him to a part of the palace that is off limits. She stands still at the top of stairs. Then she gets a fright and falls down the stairs. Misha wakes up in her bed. The doctor, Dr. Shakawat, advises her not to get up, as she has a concussion. The doctor wants to know what she was doing at that part of the palace. She explains that she thought she had seen her father. Rukmani explains that Misha had likely seen Kapil, the estate manager. He rushed to her when he heard her scream. No one seems to believe Misha. They agree to go to the wharf, where she saw Ratan's reflection. The doctor advises them not to be there, as ghosts come there at that hour. The next morning at breakfast, Rukmani informs Misha that they will be attending skeet shooting. There, Misha meets her distant cousin, Rana. Rukmani tells him that Kapil will be representing them in skeet shooting. Rana invites Rukmani and Misha to his party. Kapil beats Rana. Rana doesn't like this. It's Kapil's time to shoot, but the gun backfires. His hand got injured. He gets a fright when Misha approaches him. She wants to know what happened to his rifle suddenly. Kapil shows her a stone, which Rana had placed in his rifle, that caused it to backfire. Kapil knows that people like Rana cannot stand seeing working-class people on his level. He explains that the king, Ratan, is nothing like Rana. It was the king's charity foundation that sponsored his education. Misha asks Kapil where Ratan is, but he really doesn't know. From that night on, more strange things started happening around the palace. That night, Misha wakes up to piano music. She is frightened seeing that the piano is playing by itself. Someone had just been smoking. The family videos are playing, then a hand grabs Misha's wrist through the screen. Rukmani is upset that Misha has kept everyone awake since last night. No one believes Misha, and the policeman, Ashok, thinks she is imagining things. Later, Rukmani takes Misha to the temple. Misha sees a blind woman playing an invisible piano. The woman is psychic and tells Misha that a spirit is calling for her. Rukmani appears and takes Misha away. Later that day, Misha confides in Kapil. She wants him to help her bring the psychic woman to the palace, so that she has answers. Kapil knows it's not a good idea if the queen finds out. The woman is brought to the house and encourages Misha to call for her father. The woman is about to deliver an important message when Rukmani interrupts. She is angry about what is happening and orders Kapil to take the woman away. The woman tells Misha that her father will give her a sign at midnight. That night, Misha goes into the garage. She gets frightened when all the car's alarms go off. One of the car's lights are on. Misha sees that someone, who could be Ratan, is in that car. But she cannot open the door. She had called others to help, but Kapil says there is no one there. She is relieved. This means that her father is alive somewhere. But at the same time, no one believes her and thinks she is crazy. The next day, Misha's father phones, but she knows this isn't her father. She is by herself, holding the letter and photograph from her father, when Kapil joins her. Misha tells him that she knows that wasn't her father who phoned. The truth is that she hadn't heard his voice in many years. She knows she will find answers in everything that wanted to scare her. Misha instructs Kapil to look for something in the car where she had seen her father. She finds her father's cufflink, which she had seen on his arm the previous night. She knows he had been murdered. Now she knows that Rukmani had been trying to scare and confuse her. This is likely, so that Misha would seem crazy and Rukmani could inherit all Ratan's wealth. Misha knows that Rukmani isn't doing this alone. Kapil changes the subject, reminding Misha of Rana's party that night and that she should go. Misha wants Kapil to come too. At the party, Rukmani wants to know what Kapil is doing there. He feels embarrassed and wants to leave, but Misha tells Rukmani that he is with her. Rana joins them and reminds Rukmani that everyone is welcome. Rana forgot who Kapil is and Misha reminds him that he is the one he lost skeet shooting to. Rana takes Rukmani away. They have a secret deal which they are arguing about, while Misha and Kapil eavesdrop. Rana leaves and Misha and Kapil follow him. They reach the salt mines, where Rana makes some deal with bad people. They beat him up. Kapil and Misha confront him. Kapil threatens Rana, saying that they know about the deal. But Rana knows they don't know anything. Everything was going well when Ratan disappeared. Misha tells him that Ratan has been murdered, but Rana thinks it's a joke. Then he realizes that Misha is serious and becomes stressed, as he borrowed a lot of money to transform the palace. They want to know what Rana and the queen have been talking about. He reveals that there are rumors that the queen is pregnant with a child that isn't the king's. Meanwhile, Rukmani swims by herself and has a vision of herself losing her baby. Kapil and Misha discuss who could be behind the king's murder. They both think Ashok and the queen have been working together. Kapil gets emotional thinking about the time the king was very generous towards him. One day, he watched the king getting measured for a new suit. The king then asked the tailor to make a suit for Kapil as well. Misha and Kapil both connect over their grief and kiss. Meanwhile, Rana is about to leave the salt farm when someone attacks him. He runs away but is then killed by a spade. The next day, Misha confronts Rukmani about her pregnancy. She gets upset, telling her to stay away from things she knows nothing about. Kapil interrupts them with a phone call. Rukmani informs Misha that Rana is dead. Misha is left alone and sees Padam feeding Commander, Ratan's dog. She remembers what Rukmani said to her about how close Commander and Ratan are. Misha lets Commander sniff the cufflink and tells Padam to untie Commander. Commander runs to the wharf and barks there. Misha asks Padam to check what's inside the wharf. She phones Kapil and tells him to come, as they have found Ratan's body. Eventually, Padam finds the body, which resurfaces. Then someone grabs Misha. She wakes up in a car, confused. Then she realizes that all those scary things that have been happening at the house was Kapil's doing and that he had been helping the queen. Kapil hired a random woman to act as a psychic. She sees Kapil, who pushes the car off the cliff. The car is submerged in water, with Misha struggling to get out. Kapil phones a stressed Rukmani that the deal is done. Then there is a flashback of Kapil and Rukmani being romantically involved. They were kissing when Ratan walked in on them. Kapil begs the king to forgive him, but he kicks him. Kapil and Ratan fight and he kills the king. Rukmani feels guilty and wants to overdose, just as Kapil stops her. He is angry with her. She tells him that she can't do this anymore. But he reminds her of their child and that they can do this. The next day, Ashok visits Rukmani. She tells him that Misha's condition became worse since she got there. Rukmani tried to stop Misha from going back. Later, they have recovered the car from the lake. Ashok thinks how tragic it is that Misha returned to meet her father after many years, but couldn't meet him. Kapil is shocked and worried to hear that only one body was recovered from the car. Rukmani is worried at hearing this. There is a thunderstorm and the power goes out. Rukmani sees something and goes outside. She is frightened by the doctor. He wants to know what happened and she explains that Padam's body had been found, but that Misha is still missing. Then the doctor reveals that Misha is dead. Rukmani is confused. Misha had committed suicide 1 week earlier. Rukmani doesn't know what he is talking about and isn't sure how this is happening. Then she sees Misha at the entrance. Rukmani calls Misha's name, but Misha reveals that she isn't the real Misha. There is a flashback of how she escaped the submerged car and is able to walk. This girl is actually Fatima, who used to spend time with Misha when they were children. Ratan gave charity to children like Fatima. Many years later, Fatima once again crossed paths with Misha after the accident. At the hospital, Misha spent lots of time with Fatima, helping to rehabilitate her. Misha had a lot of anger and pain. But she started healing and they became friends. Misha was ready to give her father another chance. They were finally going to meet. She kept waiting for him, but he never showed up. Once again, her trust had been broken. She was angry and heartbroken and crashed her car into the river. Dr. Shekawat and Misha reveal that it was unusual for Ratan's number to be unreachable. They knew something was wrong and formed a plan to come here. Rukmani cries, feeling sorry for what she had done. Then Kapil appears and shoots Dr. Shekawat. Rukmani tries to stop him, but he won't stop until he has all the king's wealth for himself. He is about to attack Fatima. She gets away and hides in the pool room. Kapil follows her there. He hits Fatima. He is about to hit her again, when Rukmani shoots him. He is angry with her and tries to take the gun away from her. In the struggle for the gun, Rukmani is accidentally shot and falls into the pool. Kapil breaks down, while Fatima sneaks away. She runs outside and goes to the shed. Kapil has followed her and laughs when he sees she is pointing a gun at him. He tells her that they are actually alike, because they were both raised by the king's generosity. Kapil tells Fatima a story of what happened when he was younger and tried on the king's suit. The king humiliated him in public and told him that the suit is more valuable than him. That's when Kapil realized that the king only saw him as a charity case and that he will never have the life he wants if he doesn't snatch it. Kapil takes the gun from Fatima and points it at her. The gun backfires. That is because Fatima had put a cufflink into the gun. Kapil is no more, and everything is over. The police have come, and Dr. Shakawat is okay. Fatima wonders if it was right for her to come here. Later, Fatima and Dr. Shakawat have returned to the palace with children from the Misha Foundation. She realized that she wasn't wrong in coming there, as the children now have a home. She knows Rutan and Misha are happy wherever they are. She prays in front of the memorial, with Commander by her side.